Yeah, hi there. These comments, I think in my VoxyPop group, you're going by the name Dieta79, am I right? And I'm listening to, actually, I'm looking at the score report. You sent me some information from ETS so I can understand a little bit more about your speaking. So you got basically 24 points out of 30. Right, and your goal, of course, is to get 26 points out of 30. So what happened here? So it looks like you did very well when it comes to speaking about campus situations. It says your responses indicate an ability to speak effectively in English about reading materials and conversations typically encountered by university students. Overall, your responses are clear and coherent, with only occasional errors of pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary. So that's good. You did what you needed to do there. However, speaking about familiar topics, it says, your responses indicate you're able to speak in English about your personal experiences and opinions in a mostly clear and coherent manner, which means not entirely clear. So let's take a look at that. Mostly a mostly clear and coherent manner. So we're just kind of dissecting some of the ideas here. It says your speech is mostly clear with only occasional errors. Grammar and vocabulary is somewhat limited and includes some errors. We'll say limited. Okay, that's another thing that we have to be careful about, right? It says these limitations prevent you from fully expressing your ideas, but they do not seriously interfere with overall communication. So limited grammar and vocabulary with some errors that prevent you from fully expressing your ideas. Okay, so the second area, campus situations, I think this is integrated speaking number 3 and 5, so you're fine there. You're having more trouble with independent speaking tasks 1 and 2. And then for academic content, it says your responses demonstrate you're able to speak in English about academic reading and lecture material with only minor communication problems. For the most part, your speech is clear and easy to understand. However, some problems with pronunciation and intonation may occasionally cause difficulty for the listener. So we can also put this down. Some problems with pronunciation and intonation. Then the last one, we have your use of grammar and vocabulary is adequate to talk about the topics, but some ideas are not fully developed. Okay. Okay, so now, let's put this. So independent speaking tasks 1 through 2, we can see what these issues are. Then for integrated speaking tasks 4 and 6. And for integrated speaking tasks 3 and 5, you're fine. You're doing a really good job on that, right? Okay, let's see the other one. It says here, your use of grammar and vocabulary is adequate to talk about the topics, but some ideas are not fully developed or are inaccurate. So I think here we might say topic development problems. Okay, I think we have it. So now we can see what's going on here. So based on this, we can say for independent speaking task number 1 and 2, you speak in a mostly clear and coherent manner, which means not entirely clear. So you could improve your pronunciation a little bit, and you can also improve the organization of your ideas. I think that's what's being implied here. What I recommend here is take about 15 to 20 minutes every day and go through the pronunciation lessons in my course. Make sure you're practicing reading out loud some of that information. So you really need to work on your pronunciation. You can supplement this pronunciation practice by watching a few movies each week. As you watch the movies, really pay attention to how the speakers are communicating. And most importantly for pronunciation, make sure that you are spending a lot of time talking with native speakers. Okay, number 2, it has limited grammar and vocabulary with some errors that prevent you from fully expressing your ideas. So one thing that can help you here, if you go to the grammar part of my course data, check out the lessons that focus, see if I can give you an idea here. Okay, let's go to our course for just a minute here. Give me just a quick second. Word stress patterns. And this you've probably already done this, but if you haven't done this, I think it's a good idea to go to the step 3 of my the grammar part of my course and take this pre-test. And the pretest will tell you which areas you need to study a little bit more about. But if you want to develop your grammar to get more advanced, I can give you some example lessons that can help you. Lesson number 2, lesson number 3, 4, lesson number 6, 7, 8, 9, lesson number 11, believe it or not, I think would be a good one. If you can learn those lessons and practice maybe writing some of the sentences in there, it'll definitely help you to get rid of some of those limitations. And maybe lesson number 24 on gerunds and infinitives. Alright? Okay, so we've dealt with that. Okay, let's go to integrated speaking task number 4 and number 6. So, some problems with pronunciation and intonation. Right, so if you want to practice intonation, I mean, you know where to go. Right, so if you go to the pronunciation area of my course, and if you want to post some practice exercises for me, I'll be more than happy to give you some feedback in those areas. But take a look at, where is it? Right here. So speak clearly, lesson number 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. That focuses on intonation based on this school report. Okay, you have topic development problems and inaccurate discussion of ideas. I think the main thing that you can do here that I think would be useful is go to the pronunciation area in my course. Well, I'm going to give you another one. I know my course better than anybody. Obviously, I created it. So how about this? When most people have trouble with inaccurate discussion of ideas or they leave out important points, 9 times out of 10 it's information from the lecture. Now I don't have the actual scripts, listening scripts here, but if you go to integrated writing, you don't really need practice in this area, but you can certainly take a look at some of my integrated writing practice tests. And you'll notice, for example, let's go to copyright law, integrated writing number 16, right? You see this? So you're going to click on this and you put attempt quiz now. You don't even have to do the writing. I know your writing is already really high, right? What you can do is you can go ahead and watch the video and then listen to the lecture and practice writing down the information. Now, usually in the lecture, it will be giving you 3 specific points. So you write down the information, you practice explaining it, even recording your voice, and then you can check here at the scripts to see how accurate you are. But don't look at the scripts first. You want to listen to the lecture first, and then you can check the scripts later for accuracy. So I think that would be very helpful with this inaccurate discussion of ideas here. Okay, now the other thing, it looks like vocabulary issues, right? So vocabulary, if you want to really improve vocabulary, I'll give you some tips. And it looks like you're probably having some minor difficulties pronouncing some of those college level words. Okay, so let's go to vocabulary section. My recommendation is to skip vocabulary lesson 3 and then go to vocabulary lesson 4, lesson 5, and lesson 6. So let's go here. Notice, what I want you to do here, you probably know a lot of the words anyway because your English is already so good, but you can take some of the words and download them. Right now I'm going to go ahead and just open them up.
Number 1, absorb, absorb, absorb.
See that?
Number 2, abandon, abandon.
I know it's terribly boring.
Abandon. Number 3, abdomen.
Just make sure
Abdomen.
You're familiar with how these words
Abdomen.
are pronounced.
Number 4, abduct.
Does that make sense? So those are some things that I'd recommend that you can do. That, and basically what I'm trying to do here is, first of all, I did analysis of your score report to figure out what your problems are. And then after that, I tried to correlate these difficulties that you're having with certain lessons at my website. That's what I was trying to do here. You see what I'm saying? So now, you already know here, you need to be focusing a lot on independent speaking tasks. You also need to be focusing on the integrated speaking task number 4 and 6. So if you want, you can certainly use your TOEFL book, you can use other websites, you can use whatever you want, but you can start posting more of these integrated tasks number 4, number 6, also independent tasks number 1 and number 2, and I will give you feedback there. And then just remember some of the suggestions I gave in this video to help you continue to improve. Right? And I think that will help you get on track to getting a higher score than 24 points out of 30 on the speaking.
Acoustic.